right, so we're adding and subtracting decimal numbers, and there are 3 steps here on the board. You may want to pause this to give yourself some time to write it. But step 1 says write the numbers in columns with your decimal points lined up. Step 2 is, if necessary, write zeros in so both numbers have the exact same number of decimal places. And then just add or subtract, acting as if the numbers are just whole numbers, so you're ignoring the decimal places. Step 3, you're going to line up the decimal points in the answer directly below the decimal points that occur in the problem. All right, so here's our first problem. They're written out horizontally, but it says add 16 and 92 hundredths plus 48 and 34 hundredths. So when you stack them up and you line up the decimal places, this is what your problem looks like. So we're going to bring our decimal, we lined up our decimal place, we're going to bring it straight down into our answer here, but we're really going to ignore all of the decimal places and we're just going to treat them like whole numbers. So 2 plus 4 is 6, and 9 plus 3 is 12, so there's your 2, carry your 1. 6 plus 8 plus 1 is 15, carry my 1, and 1 plus 4 with the 1 carried gives me 6. So my answer is 65 and 26 hundredths. I lined up the decimal places, brought my decimal straight down into my answer, and then I added like they were just whole numbers. So this time they gave us 3 numbers. Again, we're just going to line them up just like we have with the decimal places stacked up. We are going to add because the instructions told us to. We're going to bring our decimal straight down into our answer, and we're going to add like these are whole numbers. So 7 plus 2 plus 4 gives me 13, carry my 1. 9, 3, 7, and that 1 that I carried gives me 20. 8, 6, 1, and that 2 I just carried gives me 17, carry my 1. The 5, 4, 2, and the 1 that I carried gives me 12. Carry my 1, and the 1 and the 1 carried also gives me 2. So my answer is going to be 22 and 703 thousandths. So we're lining them up, the decimal places up. We're adding, treating it like it's whole numbers and bringing my decimal straight down into my answer. So again, we're going to stack them up, stacking the decimals perfectly in line with each other, and adding because that's what the instructions said. Notice here that I don't have a number over the 5, and this is that part where we add zeros if necessary. And so now they have the same number of decimal places. And so 0 and 5 give me 5. 8, 9, 10, 11 is what I get when I add 8 and 3. Notice that I brought my decimal straight down into my answer. 7, 1, and 0 give me 8. And so I end up with 8 and 15 hundredths as my answer. Okay. Again, we're lining them up just like we have done on every problem. Made that one a little too big, sorry. We're adding still because that's what the instructions told us to. And notice here that I'm missing a 0 here, and any whole numbers have a decimal that follows. I'm missing a decimal place here, here, and here for this number. So I just plugged in zeros to fill up those spaces. So now we've got perfect lines to be able to add. And so 0, 0, and 6 give me 6. 2, 0, and 7 give me 9. 4, 0, and 5 also give me 9. Bring my decimal straight down into my answer. And 6, 9, and 2 gives me 17. And so 1, 7, so 17 and 996 thousandths is my final answer. Same thing with subtraction. You're just going to stack them up, but I want to read this to you. Subtract 15 and 82 hundredths from, so you have to take this away from a number. So when you line it up, it actually looks like this. The bigger number was first because we're taking the 15 from it. So it had to have been listed first. So we're subtracting like they are whole numbers, but we're bringing our decimal down into our answer. So 3 minus 2 is 1, 9 minus 8 is 1, 8 minus 5 is 3, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So 13 and 11 hundredths, final answer. Let's do one more subtraction. Again, the same thing, subtract 16.5 or 16 and 5/10 from 28 and 362 thousandths. So the 28 and 362 thousandths goes on top for us to be able to subtract 16 from it. I'm going to put in placeholders so we have the same number of place values decimal place values on the top and bottom. So I subtract both of these and it doesn't change the value here. And I need to borrow and make this a 7 and make this 13. I need to take 13 minus 5, which gives me 8. I brought my decimal straight down to my answer. 7 minus 6 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So I have 11 and 862 thousandths. Final answer.